Hello guys, and welcome to a new Steel Division video today by me, Vulcan. Today I have for you DuroSVK versus Tarsh in round 1 of the lower bracket in the 3rd Asia Pacific tournament. So we've moved through all of the round 1 and round 2 games in the tournament so far. So now we're going down to the lower bracket to see the losers of those games go up against each other. And it's all to play for now, because if you lose a lower bracket game, you do get knocked out of the tournament entirely. So whoever's the winner will move on, and the loser will be knocked out in this case. Today we're seeing Colombelles, and on the Allied side, Duro is going to be using the Guards Armoured, and on the Axis side, Tarsh is taking out the 2nd Panzer. Now the matchup of these divisions is quite interesting because they both have strong armour pieces in Phase A. So for the 2nd Panzer, it's the Panzer IVs, and on the side of the Guards Armoured, it's the Cromwells. The only major difference there is that the Panzer IVs that Tarsh can bring in Phase A can come in with the 1-star veterancy, which can then be made into 2-star veterancy with command nearby, and that is extremely strong for taking on the unvetted Guards Armoured. So Duro's going to have to take a relatively patient stand with his AT guns, try and work around those Panzer IVs. If he can kill them, then that's his chance to really go aggressive in this game. Because moving into Phase B, there's a real lack of reinforcing armor out of the 2nd Panzer. They have the Befehl Panther in the recon tab that they can bring in Phase B. But other than that, they can only bring in more Panzer IVs moving into Phase B. And that's where a Firefly or something out of the Guards Armoured might really come in handy. So let's have a look at some of the forces going down here. On the top side, it's going to be a 251 with Speedtroop. There's going to be a 250-10 with Panzerschreck there. Some Panzergrens heading up to the top side of the factory. We got a Panzergren and Sturmpioneer heading into the factory with a 223. Heading down the main road, we have Recon and Panzerschreck once again, and we have another Panzergren squad, this one heading to the bottom side of the factory, and on the very bottom another unit of Panzergrens. Over on the side of Duro, it's going to be multiple units of rifles. We got some scouts in there with the Universal Carrier and the 6-pounder. Then for the factory, doesn't look like Duro's actually being too aggressive into the factory, which to me is rather odd. I guess rifles don't really match up very well to Sturmpioneers, so maybe that was a good choice. But that will cede a lot of ground to Tarsh early on, when he's already going to be at a disadvantage, in my opinion. 6-pounder has arrived on the top side with those scouts there. Likely to be able to be seen, I think, by the recon of Tarsh. Yep, the Speedtroop can see that 6-pounder. So Tarsh is probably going to bring in some mortars at some point to play around that. But a relatively slow start, not anything too exciting going on straight away. But you can see the +1 has fallen in favour of Tarsh due to this factory cap. And there isn't anything to stop a Salient actually here from forming. So Cromwell 6 is being brought in by Duro. He's also going to be bringing in some motorised rifles. I think on both sides it's going to be interesting to see how they choose to advance in this game. Both players playing very cautious indeed. I like how Tarsh has placed these Panzerschreck Speedtroop together. I think that actually works really well. Especially on these roads that can be quite pivotal in Colombelles. Like this road in the centre is often undefended, but in this case will not be by Tarsh. And on the top side, same thing. Normally it's a very skeleton force up there, but a Panzerschreck with those 2 half-tracks can definitely kill any armour that gets close. So Panzergrens here came under fire from the Universal Carrier and the M5 half-track as the rifles and scouts advance. They're going to be falling back. Are they actually running back to the half-track? No, they're just going to be falling back to the tree line there. But that's interesting because One thing to note about these Panzergrenz is they don't have an AT weapon. They don't have a Panzerfaust. So these vehicles, the Universal Carrier and the M5 half-track, can actually be very aggressive onto these squads and get right up close and personal and do a lot of damage very quickly. This Cromwell 6, for example, can just push all the way through here. Now, I'm surprised to have not seen a Pack 40 on this bottom side, honestly. I think that would have been a very nice choice indeed. But with the Cromwell 6 showing up rather soon, maybe Tarsh thought better of it. 6-pounder here, that's going to be hit by the SBW 233. It's been a long time since I've seen one of those. This is a recon vehicle with like a cannon on it. That has been used in this case to kill off the 6-pounder. And that 6-pounder did manage to bail out the 251, but the 250-10 perfectly okay. Moving into the factory, a Stuart 6 has arrived. And once again, playing around armor against the Panzergrenz and even the Sturm Pioneers is pretty easy to do against the 2nd Panzer. The things you got to be careful of are the 1-star Pack 40s that they can bring in and Panzer IVs. But if Duro can get some information on what he's up against, this Stuart could do a lot of work. There's a Stuart coming in on the top side as well. That's going to be tasked with taking out this 233, the 250-10 and the 251 there. The Universal Carrier pinning down the Panzergrenz in the open. Panzer IV is on the way. We've got some more Panzer Grenadiers heading to the top side. So things are being pushed back to 50-50 as Duro has taken ground on this bottom side. He's found the half-track here, and he's found the Panzergrenz, and it looks like Duro is going to get quite aggressive on this bottom side. Now if Duro can break through here sooner than later, he might be able to get some infantry into a position whereby he can delay this Panzer IV pushing. But if he's not quick about it, this Panzer IV will come in and start putting the pain onto this Universal Carrier, the M5, and the Universal Carrier on the bottom side. The half-track here is eventually going to take out the 251, but now with the Panzer IV arriving, that does make things a lot more difficult. But like I mentioned before, if a rifle squad was already in here, that would allow the front line to be held forwards and make that +1 for Duro that he could then exploit for the rest of the game. Especially if he started reinforcing all the way down this road with more AT guns and so on. He has himself a really nice position if he owns this tree line, and taking it this early on can make things very difficult for Tarsh if he reinforces that. So the Stuart 6, that's just going to try and clean up some half-tracks on the top side. This Universal Carrier looks like it's going to go down to the 250-10. And that's the 233. Beats it to it. Wow, okay. So Duro did manage to get the rifles in there. 6-pounder is in range but on return fire. I don't think it's entirely necessary to keep this on return fire. One thing that is lacking, however, is command. And we don't see any command across the board for Duro. Looks like Duro is finally realizing that himself, bringing up a dingo to accompany the 6-pounder. But in this case, Tarsh might be able to see the 6-pounder. Nope, never mind. He cannot. So on the very top side, we have a Pack 40 coming in at last. Pack 40s, I think, can be very, very strong with the 2nd Panzer if microed properly. On this top side, I'm not sure that's like the best location for it. I think, honestly, it would have been a lot more welcome on the bottom side earlier on. But still, it's in a decent place to help the 250-10 take care of the Stuart 6. It can also kill the Cromwell 4 in the future. Now Tarsh is making a little bit of a breakthrough here, honestly. He's managed to pin down these rifles. He spotted the scouts here because they weren't on return fire. And that means that if he can kill this Cromwell 4, There's going to be a lot of ground to be made. Pack 40 going to be opening up onto the Stuart 6. That's going to make this Cromwell 4 have to be a bit more careful. But elsewhere, Duro has made his way into the factory here. Stern Pioneers were fallen back. Looks like Tarsh didn't want to take that engagement just yet. Now a large amount of forces moving down on the bottom side, but with the 250-10 here, that's going to be able to do a lot of damage to the Universal Carrier and the M5 half-track. Might also be able to do a lot of damage to the Cromwell 6, which has actually been let in range of the Panzer IV. Panzer IV has a kill there if it lands a shot on target. On the top side, Pack 40 looking for the Cromwell 4 kill still. Sexton has now been brought in for Duro. He's going to be using that to try and take out that Pack 40. So I feel like Duro maybe got a bit over-aggressive here. And he is going to lose a lot of his fire support units for free because of it. Panzergren's going to be smashing these rifles to pieces. Cromwell 6 can do quite a lot of damage to the Panzergrens. But it looks like Duro is just going to try and make that Panzer IV fall back. Not sure if that's the best shout. Pack 40 here. Looking for line of sight onto that Cromwell 4. That Sexton's got a lot of work to do. Now the issue with Sextons on the Guards Armoured is that they do suffer from lack of veterancy. And that does make the dispersion of their artillery rounds pretty bad. And therefore they don't tend to hit their target too often. We also saw the 233 take out a Dingo up here, which isn't good because, once again, command is lacking. We're getting a big move here now from Tarsh in the mid. He's going to be running down some rifles there, making himself some ground on the bottom side of the factory. It's interesting that Tarsh has noticed this gap in the defences here, and is going to be charging into it. This Stuart 6 has the potential to stop that in its tracks. There is another Stuart 6 coming up the road from Duro. That is definitely the correct response. This Stuart 6, however, I'm not sure where that's going. He definitely needs to stop these half-tracks from cutting him off, especially on the bottom side. So currently a +2 now in favour of Tarsh. Made a lot of ground with these half-tracks. It just depends how long the half-tracks last. And this 251 doesn't want to get too far ahead of itself, otherwise it's going to cut itself off and it will lose a lot of the territory that it's already gained, which wouldn't be very good. Now this 6-pounder has moved up. It looks like the 250-10 there was taken out. Dingo is going to have to move up behind this tree line in order to provide the veterancy for the 6-pounder so that can successfully kill the Panzer IV in the future. Pack 40 was forced back by the Sexton by the looks of things. But that Sexton, well off the mark now. And the Pack 40 is now taking shots at the Cromwell 4. So this Stuart going to be looking for shots onto the spear troop there. Duro definitely needs to start microing these a bit more though, in order to finish off the last of the half-tracks. 6-pounder, can it get the kill onto the 251? It cannot. Dingo really needs to get there. And finally, Duro notices. Would have been nice before that got into cover though. Stern Pioneers going to be running down some rifles with their flames. Doing a lot of work, for sure. Pushing back multiple squads of rifles. Tarsh making a big dent into the Guards Armoured early on. 6-pounder going to be taking that shot, not finding it. Humber Mark III is going to be killing the half-track on the bottom side. Stuart 6 might finally clean up this half-track. And that's going to bring things back to only a +1 for Tarsh. But I feel like Duro could have maybe dealt with that a lot sooner. Now I'm hoping that with these motorized rifles revealing the Panzergrens here, that the Stuart does engage with its machine guns. Looks like it will. because that is definitely necessary in order to just push back the front line in the mid here. Maybe even in favour of Duro once again. Now the Panzer IV in the factory did manage to take out the half-track. I think it also took out the Stuart up here. We can see there is a Firefly on its way. We've moved into Phase B. 2nd Panzer gets a huge boost to its income in this phase, but it can't deploy with much more than a Befehl Panther. It has to rely quite heavily on the Panzer IVs. Now Panzer IVs at the 1000 meter range can do a lot of damage to Fireflies. But if this Firefly is micro correctly, then it can definitely punch through a lot of forces. Now I'm interested to see why Duro has placed this Firefly so close to the factory. I think the best place for it would definitely be on the bottom side where he has the advantage. Because down here he wants to maintain that advantage and that ground that he's gained. And a Firefly would do that really well, especially against Panzer IVs pushing in this direction. And with the arrival of the Bayeux Panzer II-C with the artillery there, the 6-pounder has died, which definitely opens up the bottom side of the map now, since there's no more AP value units in the way of these tanks that are going to be advancing towards him. And Duro's just going to have to make a run for it with all of his units. His infantry got very over-ambitious towards these Panzergrens, and that's going to leave them out in the open here to get killed off. So the scouts there and the motorized rifles definitely dying very quickly right now. Now it seems as though the PaK-40 in the top side was killed off eventually. Scouts have been moved up with the rifles here, supported by the Colombelles 4, should be able to make quite a lot of ground. Sturm Grenadiers are waiting for any infantry that decide to come through the tree line. These guys have those STG 44s. And that is one strong thing about the 2nd Panzer in Phase B. They can come in with a lot of those Sturm Grenadiers to sort of solidify their infantry positions. So this kind of top half of the map can be well secured at this point by Tarsh. And you'll see these scouts, they're going to come into the tree line here. Ideal range for the Sturm Grenadiers. Probably going to take them out very, very quickly indeed. 17-pounder is rolling up the centre of the map. Is going to engage the Panzer IV here. Firefly kind of sitting doing nothing. Same with the Stuart. It's not what I like to see. Generally when you bring in powerful units like this Firefly, you've got to make use of them. You've got to almost play around them. But in this case, Duro is definitely not doing that at the moment. Going to bring in a Tempest to try and shoot down this Focke-Wulf. Might be able to find the kill actually. It's got plenty of time on target. Nice kill there from Duro. Stops that rocket strike in the future. Although it did manage to kill his 17-pounder in the centre of the map. Oh, that's not good. Focke-Wulf 190. Going to be getting onto the back of that Tempest and shooting it down in reply. So Tarsh there waiting for the Tempest to pull away from his air spawn, then bringing in the Focke-Wulf on its tail. And that's definitely going to help him out and secure the air once again. So, Sturm Grenadiers and Panzerstreck holding strong. Half track here. Going to be engaging each other. But the Colombelles 4 is going to be moving round that tree line. Got to be a little bit careful about these Sturm Grenadiers getting into range with a Panzerfaust. Looks like Duro is being careful about that, which is good to see. 17-pounder has arrived on the bottom side. But seeding this tree area here, in my opinion, is a very big mistake. Like solidifying that with either 17-pounder or this Firefly earlier on would have been a much better choice. And now you can't allow this Colombelles 6 to just be killed that freely. That is a big, big mistake. He knew that those Panzer IVs were coming. So why would you not play that more carefully? Either way, Sexton's going to be putting artillery onto the Sturm Grenadiers and Panzerstrecks up here. Cromwell 4 is just waiting for those to be pinned down, I think, before he tries to destroy them with his machine gun. And then by doing so, he can get the kill there. The Panzerschreck's going to be pinned down just before it fires, actually. I believe it was about to engage the Cromwell. Might have been just out of range. We might have been seeing them start to open up with their submachine guns onto the rifles. But either way, Panzerschreck dealt with. That's going to allow the Cromwell to go very aggressive here. Maybe take out one unit of Sturmgrenadiers. I like that Tarsh identified he could use smoke on those Sturmgrenadiers. It's probably one of the best things about them. That smoke can really help them survive, but in this case it did not, especially with the artillery coming in from Duro. With the 17-pounder pinned down though, going to have to fall back alongside those rifles. It looks like the 17-pounder did pop one of the Panzer IVs. The other is going to be falling back, but at this point, with the Panzergrens pushing forwards, why wouldn't you get more aggressive with the Panzer IV rather than allow the 17-pounder to recover? Either way, Firefly going to be coming down the center of the map. That actually might be able to deal with Ramsch quite easily alongside the 223 and these half tracks. There we go, you can see it firing away. And the 8 armor on Ramsch, that's going to be not enough really to stop it being pinned down quickly. But Ramsch using the trees there to take cover. Panzergrens have now been caught in the open because the Panzer IV is not there to take it out. And if that was just supported, say the Panzer IV moved with the Panzergrens towards this tree line, he could have easily taken care of the 17-pounder, which is now punishing him in the center here. 17-pounder getting 2 shots off towards the Panzer IV. If it can find a third, it might be a kill. Yes, it will. So, Command Cromwell 4 has managed to push through, and rifles have been brought up to reinforce. So now Duro has himself quite a nice position up here. But one thing that is lacking again is AP value units. There's no AT gun here yet. There is one on the way, but it's a little bit late to the party. There is of course the Cromwell 4, but if that gets pinned down, then things become very difficult indeed. And we can see that the score in general has been relatively 50-50 throughout the entire game so far. And I feel like that's kinda Tarsh not taking advantage of some of the situations he's been in. But Duro has been doing a great job of sort of playing around that. And now he does have 2 Fireflies on the field in the phase that was probably the best to have them in. Now we moved into phase C. We'll have to see if Tarsh affords himself a Panther, because that would be the main way for him to crush the Guards Armoured at this point. Now the Sturm Pioneers, they're going to be coming in onto the 17-pounder here. 17-pounder going to be making a run for it. Whether or not it will get away remains to be seen. But for now it looks like it will, since only the Kar 98 of the Sturm Pioneer are actually firing. It's going to do minimal damage. 6-pounder has been unloaded on the road. Going to be engaged by the Aufklärer Panzer 4J. Cromwell 4 going to be smashing those Sturmgrenadiers. Let's see what the Sexton can do. It's actually going to be arting directly on top of those Sturmgrenadiers as they run away. Actually really nice. Those rifles able to get their grenades off onto the half-track. Tarsh just going to reverse a little bit further away and then continue the fire. I like that a lot. This half-track 3-star veteran C has a chance to kill off this universal carrier for sure. 17-pounder now moving into this tree line. Got to be a little bit careful with this one, because this these trees can be really deceiving. I guess if you push it down to this area, it's not so bad, and it looks like that's what Duro is going to be doing. Firefly's also moving in this direction. Try and cut off this armor push coming in from Tarsh. So 17 pounder transmission damage onto the Panzer IV. Can it find the kill? Yes it can. That's going to make things a turkey shoot for the Firefly. Although off map going to be coming in from the Panzer II. That's a very nice response. I kind of would have expected by now that all of the off-map from the Panzer II had been used, but it seems as though Tarsh was saving that specifically for moments like these where he needs to take out specific AT guns that are getting in his way. Panther A is on its way, and if that starts engaging this Firefly, I feel like it's going to win very easily. 2-star Panther A with 17 AP versus the 11 armor of the Firefly. Easy pickings. If Tarsh actually decides to engage that. The 17 pounder going to try and take out the Panzer IV in the factory. With that destroyed, that might allow the Stuart here to get aggressive with some infantry towards the Sturmgrenadiers and Panzergrenadiers that are defending that. Here we go, Panther A, Firefly in, going at each other. It's only a matter of time surely until that Panther hits its mark. Can't believe it already lost or missed 2 shots. Third is definitely not going to miss, and that is a kill for the Panther. So off-map did clean up the 17 pounder down here. There's one 17 pounder here with 1 health. The deadliest 17 pounder ever. If that fire or Panther comes into line of sight, I feel like that 17 pounder is going to get the kill. Let's see if it does, because that would be rather amusing at this point. So in general, at the moment, Duro is in the lead with 562 points over Tarsh's 361. I think at the moment it classes as a draw. Now the 17 pounder has been found by the Sturm Pioneers. Cromwell 6 going to be able to come around the corner though and engage the Sturm Pioneers. That's nice. Might also be able to take out the Sturmgrenadiers before they kill the 17 pounder. Nice use of smoke there by Tarsh. Needs to use it again though. Otherwise that Cromwell 6 is going to get into line of sight. So the Cromwell 6 is on like a attack move command, but it's actually ended up moving it into line of sight of the Panther. Smoke comes down once again from Tarsh. Tarsh now needs to get this Panther on target. Currently being trolled by line of sight, which is quite amusing. Stuart Reamy is going to be coming in with some flame units. We've got the Cromwell 4 going to be taking out some rifles on the top side. Actually, I think that was rifles lost due to this Panzer IV. Sturmgrenadiers beating up those rifles. I'm guessing these must be like assault pioneers in those Stuart Reamys. But here, Panther A picks off the 17 pounder. Maybe not the deadliest 17 pounder there is after all. So yeah, a bunch of infantry building up to attack a factory. This late in the game, not convinced that's the best idea. Mainly because pushing into like what will probably be a well-defended factory is going to be very slow. And if you want to sort of solidify a victory, it's not the way to go about it. You need to kind of take ground in the more open parts of the map. So on this bottom side, maybe bring down another Firefly, like this Firefly here. Maybe double team this Panther. That'd be a nice way to go about things. Especially since both of those have the ability to kill every other unit here, and then have some motorized rifles push onto these tree lines that then threatens it with a Piat as well. And in my opinion, that would be a better way to go than pushing through this factory. But we'll have to see. Because so far, Sturm Grenadiers have been forced to fall back. These Panzer Grenadiers, however, are able to demolish one unit of Assault Pioneers already. Gepard is opening up as well onto this Stuart Remy. On the top side, engagement between the Panzer IV-J and the Cromwell 4. Cromwell 4 is driver wounded and falling back, so that looks to be a kill on the side of Tarsh, unless it manages to get away. Looks like it might. Tarsh isn't targeting that exclusively. Stuart 6, that's going to be trying to engage the Flak 38, but it's actually being forced back by AA. And on this bottom side, well, Sturm Grenadiers certainly taking the ground off Duro, but Duro finding the +1. So minor victory in 10 minutes and 50 seconds. Now this Focke-Wulf looks like it's going to go down. Tempest brought in by Duro. Nice timing. Alongside the Crusader AA Mark 1. Going to help take that out. 17 pounder remains alive for now, but the Cromwell 4 on the top side has died. Stuart 6 now needs to clean up this Gepard, if it can. But I'm not entirely sure that Duro is going to be able to make more ground in the factory at this point. He's actually surrounded Tarsh's Sturm Grenadiers. They're keeping themselves well hidden, that's for sure. Looks like Duro is going to try and go find them with his Cromwell 6. Probably the worst choice. Ideally you'd want to use the motorized rifles to reveal them and then engage from distance, but each to their own, I guess. We'll just watch this Cromwell 6 go down in flames as the Panzerfaust opens up. If it does, I mean, any time today, Sturm Grenadiers should get that kill. The first Panzerfaust doesn't quite do the job, the second one will. Unless Tarsh moves them. Come on. Surely. Okay, there we go, finally. Right, Typhoon AT did come in. That's going to be forcing back this Panther A on the top side. The Sturm Grenadiers have now been revealed. M5 half-track going to be opening up onto them, same with the Humber Mark III. But it looks like the Panzer II has something to say about that. Going to be going aggressive, trying to get the 20mm on target to take care of this Humber Mark III. That's going to be backed up by the Panther A. Now would be the correct time to use the Typhoon AT to pin down the Panther A, go at it from both sides with your Fireflies, find the kill down there. I don't think you should ever really use a Typhoon AT just to try and get a kill, because it's actually very unreliable. It's not often you see a Typhoon AT come in and just kill something, unless it's already been hit by like multiple HE. 17 pounder on the top side, going to be bailing out this Panzer IV-J, got all the time in the world to take that out now. Off map coming in onto the Firefly. Looks like Tarsh is going to be trying to make that Firefly fall back so that he can engage it with the Panther A. And I like that Tarsh is trying to single out these Fireflies. I'm assuming he can see the one in the center, so he knows where they are. And playing around them like this is a really good idea. So he's going to allow that Panther to come into line of sight. That Panther's currently aiming at the Panzer II. That's going to give the Panther time to show its front armor. No chance for the Firefly. Back wheel destroyed. It's falling back. Firefly has done the job. Look at that beauty. So, Firefly in the mid now dealing with Speed Troop, but a massive hole in the defense of Tarsh, or not Tarsh, of Duro, sorry, in the bottom side. 855 points in favour of Duro. I think by losing that Firefly, he's really dropped the ball. Going to make things very difficult, and it looks like he's going to try and make up for things in the town here. Or in the factory, sorry. Motorized rifles cleaning up the Sturm Pioneers. That Stuart really needs to finish off this Gepard. And I'm surprised, honestly, that Tarsh is letting this happen with the amount of Panzer IVs he has here. You could definitely attack move this Panzer IV-J down this way, and then as soon as it comes into line of sight of anything, it will stop and fire, right? So between these two sets of factory buildings, you could definitely find the kills onto both the Stuart 6 and the Remies. Now the Panzer IV-J isn't the best for taking those engagements because it has quite a high aim time. Generally the Panzer IV-Js work best at 1000 meter range. But either way, still would be a decent idea. Panzerschreck going to be revealing itself. Motorized rifle is going to get hammered and pinned down very quickly indeed. So now the +1 in favour of Tarsh, and like I said before, having the Firefly die really drops the ball on this bottom side because it's going to be incredibly hard now to kill this Panther. And honestly, it looks like these half-tracks might get all the way to the spawn. Now +1 isn't going to be enough for Tarsh to win. He's got to find a +2. Currently it's just going to be a draw. So we'll have to see what happens in the last 5 minutes and 20 seconds of this game. Panzergrenad's doing plenty of damage against these motorized rifles with the assistance of the Panther A. Sturm Grenadiers, oh look how quickly they're just going to kill those assault pioneers. Wow. With some smoke, Tarsh could definitely house hop those forwards and maybe find a kill onto the Stuart 6. That would be ideal. Oh, the Gepard finally going down there to the Stuart 6. Assault Pioneers making some ground, but as I mentioned previously, any push into the factory is going to be extremely slow indeed. And I think I'm proving that by the amount of time it's taken Duro to push through here. Now Achilles has been brought down to this bottom side. It looks like he's bailed out one of the half-tracks there. He's going to try and take out another. Got to be careful though. You can't allow this Achilles to sit in range of a Panther. That Panther, it just needs to stop and fire, and that's a dead Achilles. Duro really got away with that one. Wow. Typhoon AT, please come down to the bottom side. This is where you're needed. That Typhoon AT hits this Panther A. Achilles can kill that all day long. But in this case, comes up to the top side. Gets forced back by the Gepard and the Flak 38, and that's not what you want to see. Aufklärer Panzer IV-J and the 259s now pushing on to the Stuart Remy there, also engaging the Stuart 6 at close range. That is a very dead Stuart. Goes down to the 259s. Now the Aufklärer Panzer IV-J actually managed to get killed by the Stuart, so a nice shot from the Stuart, for sure. Wait, what killed? No way. Don't tell me the Achilles got that kill. It must have. Well, here we go. Bit of a miss micro, I guess, from Tarsh, in a sense that there's no way this Panther should have been showing side armor to the Achilles. But he hasn't lost the ground. Tarsh still has the +1. But finding a +2 without a Panther on the bottom side could make things a lot more difficult. So, multiple 259s now coming into the top side. The 259s you get in Phase C as the 2nd Panzer all come in as 2-star, which you can see here. But I'm not sure how they're really going to match up against the Stuart 6 and an Achilles. That, to me, seems like it's not really going to work. And, well, speaking of stuff that's not going to work, Duro's factory push really backfired. Stone Pioneers, Stone Grenadiers coming straight through, pushing back all of the low veterancy units of Duro here. Especially with the assistance of the 259s. So that's 2 of the 259s down. Tarsh really not going to make any ground with those. This Panzer II definitely in a good position to hold the front line forwards. But for how long? Maybe Duro will be a bit cautious with how he moves up. In which case Tarsh would get away with this. But it's really up to Duro to like move infantry into these tree lines. Just to see what's there, if anything. Because then he can play around that. And in this case, it doesn't even have 20 mil ammunition. So it's not even that much of a risk. Like, obviously Duro doesn't know that. But still. It would pay off if he just checked. Typhoon AT coming in once again. Try and pin down this Panther A. Not going to get the pin. Panzer IV went down on the top side. Stuart 6 Achilles. They're going to be taken on the 259. It's just not close enough to do any damage. Looks like it's just going to end pretty anticlimactically. These Achilles have been a nice choice from Duro. But definitely a lot of unnecessary Firefly losses throughout this game. The Fell Panther comes down the main road. That's going to clean up this Firefly. 14 seconds left on the clock. Tarsh is not going to find enough points to take the lead. And that's pretty much game. So, I want to say in slow and steady wins the race, but no one really won this one. Just seemed very slow. And both players playing overly cautious throughout the game. Which is a shame. Because there was many opportunities on the side of Tarsh. We've seen it from him before against Protoss Soccer. And he just failed to take advantage of it. And on the side of Duro, some mistakes as well. You got to make sure you either double team those Panthers, or if you're going to choose a Typhoon AT, that you use that to set up the kill. In this case, he did neither, which kind of shows a misunderstanding of the division in general and how you combat armor that is better than yours in the late game. Either way, jumping over to the team scores, things relatively even, which is to be expected. 3,455 kills to 3,235 losses in favour of Duro. Points ended in favour of Duro, but I can reveal that Duro actually ceded the game to Tarsh. So Tarsh is going to move on through the tournament to the second round of the lower bracket. Duro is going to basically leave the tournament. So there you go, that's the result. Tarsh moves on. In terms of kills, Cromwell 4 actually did a really good job pushing through that top side. Very nice indeed. Stuart 6 managed to pick off that Panzer IV in the factory. Probably could have been a bit more aggressive though. Sexton did finish off the Pack 40 in the end. This Firefly got plenty of nice kills. And it looks like a lot of units, honestly, picked up quite a lot of kills. But it just wasn't enough in the end for Duro to get like a convincing lead. Look at all these Panzer IVs going down to the 17 pounder. Wow. In terms of losses, Panzer IV-H from Tarsh. Early game, those Panzer IVs are king. And I'm surprised that we didn't see like a double Panzer IV Phase A, as it can be absolutely dominating. 2-3-3. Been a long time since I've seen one of those. But good to see it back in the game. Panzer IV-H takes out the Stuart 6. I know a lot of these tank kills are very underwhelming. Panther A, that killed off 2 Fireflies, so that's alright. But other than that, most of the kills on Tarsh's side pretty spread out. But yeah, that is where I'm going to leave it. Not the craziest game we've seen, but some interesting points to be made. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.